manager would tell you this is the outlook and we need to be responsible. But they also challenged me each and every day of the week is find your way to do better. Find your way to spend less and be responsible because this money belongs to our customer and the money belongs to our shareholder. When I see the city budget here, I look at the conveniences that we have, but we're spending too much money and we need to bring that back under control.
We're going this way? Okay. So try not to trip over the chair. Sorry. So the budget as it relates to population growth could almost be one for one. But like Hal, and he said it very articulately, so I don't want to reiterate. But my thing is, Frisco has a lot of money. I mean, it's a pretty rich city. There's a lot of tax revenue, but as I said to someone in the back, I feel like the city has a hole, is like just money is burning a hole in its pocket. So as a corporate manager, I would agree that we were always tasked with, here's the money you have to spend, but if you can do better, you should do better. Just because you have it to spend, that doesn't mean that you need to spend it. So I'm going to stop there. Thank you.
So you're going to hear pretty much everybody else say that we're spending too much money and we need to cut taxes. And I'd ask all of them, so exactly what do we want to cut? Do we want to cut the fire department? Do we want to cut the police department? Do we want to stop building roads? Do we want to stop having new street lights installed? And, you know, things of that nature. I think that coming from IT, we get 3% of a corporate budget pretty much. And if we don't spend it, we don't get it the next year. So we have to be responsible with it, and we're limited by what we have, but there's still a cost of doing business. So, and the same goes true with running the city. We're not going to have a bake sale and sell cookies to fund the police department. We're going to have to spend some money. So obviously we need to ask the question, why are we spending this? Is this the best deal that we can make? But if we, but we still are going to have to spend money to provide us with this wonderful city that we live in.
I would say that to answer the question, population inflation growth factor, probably about 3 to 4%. So I'd say that we're in line with that for being the fastest growing city in America, to having to build this infrastructure out. Our police and fire is about half of our budget. We're working on fire station number 9 right now. Fire stations save lives. I don't think we're pretty lean and mean. We've had a hiring freeze in the city for some time, except for public safety. We've done a lot of budget cuts. We've got a lot of demands on the city. Folks wanted, we talk about quality of life, wanted Exide shut down. Folks wanted power lines buried. We set the standard very high when we went after Exide. We did not want a protracted legal battle that was expensive. We did not want to raise taxes, and we did not want to have to sell bonds, and we accomplished that. We can't make it stop raining, but we can make it stop raining lead on your kids. And we did that. That plant was right across from our oldest high school. It's right next to our police station, and it's gone, and it isn't coming back. You asked us to bury power lines. We planned ahead. We've got a reserve fund that has $9 million in it that we can reach into this summer to bury those power lines. I think Frisco's done a great job with its budget.
So I think the question is, where did the money go, Joe? And the answer to that is, if we're spending at 4 times the rate of the population, and you're like, where's the money going? What we have to look at is, what are we giving out in economic incentives for all of these developers and corporations to move here? That's where the money is going. If we're growing at 4 times the rate, it's because we're giving out money like it's Christmas. And the thing with this is here, this is Texas. We're growing fast. We have a great economy. Businesses are going to continue to move to Texas. They're going to keep coming here. But, we don't need to keep giving out $600 million to the $6.4 billion mile and keep doing these incentives to developers to keep building all this stuff left and right. It's going to build anyway. My approach on the budget is a balanced growth process where we go commensurate 1 for 1 with the population growth so that we don't keep getting ourselves into debt. We have $1 billion in debt. We have $700 million in bonds. We need to pay down the debt is what we need to do, and we need to balance our budget just like they need to do at the federal level. Thank you.
I live on 423 in Lebanon, and there are there's new lights power that is running down 423. The lines were not buried there, along with our new beautiful Walmart that we have there that so many people are proud of. You know, I was in my HOA meeting and the power company put a pole right in front of our neighborhood's water monument, which is the entrance to Waterstone. So if you're ever at Lebanon and 423, know that we had to go out there and stop them and say, hey, don't put that pole there. But we need to reduce our expenditures. I work with city governments, state government, federal government all the time on big projects. I know how to find the best deals for our city. We need to be sure that we are paying attention and focusing on a smart and balanced budget. If you go to danstrickland.com, I talk about that in my intelligent spending initiative.
Okay, candidates. Question number 3.
We got one more.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah.
How do we get this?
Yeah, I'll get it. Thank you. Okay. Foremost, and I think the city is not making the right business investment. And our city is too much centered on leisure and hospitality, and which is the lowest paying business sector in all the, I think, 10 sectors break down by labor department. And also, we're not by doing the leisure and hospitality, such as a STAR project or building hotels, we're not bringing the right population for the city. Because if our city is defined as a middle-up city, we need middle-class workers, like the people working in the office buildings. And it's not just say, we have the money, we have to spend it, and we have the money, we can be patient if the right opportunity is not coming by. And instead of, say, squander the money on projects like a STAR and outperforming center. And also, we need to bring more transparency into the budget. We should show the debt growth, the revenue growth, and control and compare them on the first couple pages of the budget book so everybody can see. Okay, also, I want to get into the pension fund, but I have no time now. Okay. All right.
All right, candidates. Question number 3, and the first person to respond will be Mr. Redmond. The question has to do with density and traffic congestion, which some of you have already talked a little bit about, so we'll take it from a different angle. With increased density projections in the 2016 comprehensive plan, traffic engineers that I've spoken with estimated the norm would be 3 cycles to get through a red light. The traffic issue is causing some to advocate a form of mass transit like DART, light rail, buses, etc. Candidates, what is your view of the need for and funding of potential mass transit strategies?
Clarifying questions. Did you say funding as well?
Yes, I did. The question is, what is your view of the need for and funding of potential mass transit strategies?
Okay, so when it comes to, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, I grew up in Chicago. I grew up in a suburb of Chicago. But mass transportation and light rail was a necessity. But I mean, imagine this city the size of Chicago compared to a city the size of Frisco. To me, it seems almost incomprehensible that in order to get around town, you'd need light rail in order to traverse without, would you say 3 cycles per light? That's a long time. I'm not a real patient guy. And so if road rage is bad now, I can only imagine what it would be if you had to wait 3 cycles. I don't know where it's going to go. And I have seen the future land use plans. And secondly, could we pay for it? We can absolutely pay for it. But the state would also help us pay for it. So I don't think it's an issue of money and dollars. I think it's more a matter of, does it make sense and is it the right issue for Frisco?
Woohoo! One of my favorite topics. I love talking about traffic. That's one of my big issues. I think absolutely we need to have mass transit in town. We need to find ways to get people out of their cars. We need to get more people on bikes, more people on motorcycles, more people on buses and light rail, things of that nature. I lived in California. Motorcycles, no tolls. When I moved here and I was commuting on my motorcycle, it blew my mind that I had to pay the same toll as a car. I talked to NTTA. They said, so what? You know. So I think we can negotiate with our neighbors as and work out arrangements like that. Bike lanes, add more bike lanes. Again, get people healthier, get people out of their cars to and from. We have great weather most of the year. There's no reason why we don't take advantage of it. I think absolutely there should be a light rail that goes to downtown Dallas and to the airports if we can swing it. I know that's a long game, but I think it's still possible.
I'm not a fan of toll roads or of DART. Frisco voted for economic development and CDC. Plano voted for DART. And Plano spent about $1 billion with a B dollars on their DART system, and nobody rides it. To have a rail system here in Frisco would be a disaster. To give up our economic and community development programs would be an insane move. We can do things differently. We can use technology. You've got the power in your pocket. Waze can help you move around town. We've suggested with that for people for a long time that they'll find an alternative route. Also, smart cars are coming out where the cars are linked to our lights, and the car will tell you when the light is going to turn red or when the light is going to turn green. So the car tells you how fast to drive up the street so you can always hit green lights. If you do hit a red one, the car tells you what the countdown is until the light turns green again. We've also looked at roundabouts, not your mom and dad's traffic circle, but the roundabouts that keep traffic moving and keep it flowing here in Frisco. So we have some other ideas. We have some other plans.
Thanks, sir. Okay, so I'm going to agree with John on one issue. DART is not good for Frisco. Plano did invest millions of dollars in that, and I think they said that the ROI to get it back from a passenger would be like $7,000 a ticket, or some crazy number. It was ridiculous. So DART is out of the question. Riding bicycles to work, we didn't build any bike lanes, and right now when people bicycle through town, they almost get run over and they get upset and they go on Facebook and post about that. So. Don't know that that's going to work, and I've had people in the city tell me at the highest levels that the plan for urban density is that we will all walk to work. That's how we're going to get there. This is Texas. We're huge. We drive. I don't think we're going to tell people not to drive their cars. This is not going to work. I think this is going to be an Uber town. I'm just going to be honest. It's Uber and Lyft. If you need to get to public transportation, I think right now that is the most feasible option for us. But going back to my original statement, you want to build a town of 450,000 people. I don't care what mode of transportation you take. You ain't getting nowhere fast. So we have to once again curb the urban density and get back down to a reasonable number of what our land mass can support, and that's under 300,000 people.
So we're not putting down any more concrete. I think we've all figured that out right now. There's a plan to have a whole bunch of people move here into multifamily homes. We have a lot of folks coming. I don't think DART is the issue. Personally, we have a really serious problem coming up on our hands. We have over 60,000 apartment units coming to our city, and they're going to be located down there off 121 on the toll road. And what other thoroughfare are you going to get to work? And everybody's really got to start thinking about this. So I challenge you to go to my website, check out my Smart City Initiative. I talk about this. There's different things that you can do as an individual. Pay attention. There's different apps out there that you can follow the traffic and make sure you're going to the different intersections and you're on the roads that aren't going to get you to work much longer than you need to do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, candidates.
Two more.
Yeah, don't forget these guys.
That is not the end. All right. Then is not the end. All right. Okay. In the city's comprehensive plan, it's planned out to say we have to build 51,000 more apartments in the future. And if the traffic is that bad, and we should rethink about it, and we probably should just stop it, building the apartments and the multifamily homes within our control. And I worked in New York City for 12 years, and I ride on the PATH train. If you look at the neighborhood around the PATH line, you don't want to live there. It doesn't belong to Frisco. So I'm totally against DART. But for the morning rush and the evening rush, we do have to face this problem. you cannot directly just say no. Probably there's some kind of a train system we can do just for the morning 2 hours and the evening 2 hours. I think that's the most we should do, but never DART. Okay.
So the question is in my opinion, DART is not a solution, nor is a mass transit. It's not the quality of life that Frisco wants. I moved to Dallas in 1985 when I got recruited here after graduating from A&M. And there was a place at the toll road in 635 that was everything that people said it was supposed to be, a big mall with a lot of apartments. There for a while it was nice, but then we see what it is today. That's not the answer. To me, I attended the work session with the city, and there was a lot of talk about our solution for traffic is going to come from autonomous cars. I disagree. I think that what we can do is we can look at what we have in the city, and if we work together to bring business and distribution to use our land, we can redefine our spine. The only reason why it's so busy going down on Preston Road is because we're trying to carry everybody from North Texas down into Dallas. We can find a solution working with the regional transportation. Let's manage our through traffic. Let's distribute some of our retail. Let's get other businesses to where we have reason to be about the city, and let's level this out and not just drive everything to one point.
It's time to officially thank you. Okay, in the interest of time, and I know you're going to be upset that we are not going to ask a question about debt. So I can tell everybody's upset about that. Suffice it to say that
Only Stanley. Stanley's really mad about that.
Some of the people in the back are having difficulties, so
hold the mic close to your mouth,
the
please.
mic guy.
So we're going to move to individual questions, okay? And we're going to start at this end of the table and work our way down. Mr. Stricker, as a business owner doing work with numerous cities, you said earlier that you'd like to improve our contract bidding and selection process in what you call the Intelligent Spending Initiative. Please describe this and why you feel it is important for business.
Hey, everybody. I'm glad to answer this question. So whoever asked that, I'll get in. How much time do I have, by the way? 1 minute. Okay. So I work on bids all the time. I look at business for federal, state, and local opportunities all the time. I've personally witnessed overspending, abuse, not our city hall, but in other city halls and school districts here and in other places. My eye as a businessman is tuned in to make sure we're getting the very best opportunities that you can get for your tax dollar and not get something that was brought in by the good old boys network.
Thank you. Mr. Burton, you grew up in California, a state not known for conservative politics or social mores, but well known for fiscal irresponsibility. Why should the voters not be worried about you bringing a California political philosophy to Frisco?
Holy smokes. Okay, let me correct the record. I was born in Dallas, Texas, and was raised here till I was 15 years old. I spent 8 years in California, but got back to Texas as quickly as I could. But my parents had me under house arrest, so I couldn't run away from home. But I've been here 16 years, so no, I am native. This is my home, and I do not identify with the liberal policies of California at all. I am a true conservative, endorsed by Frisco United, the most conservative think tank group here in Frisco. My policies are fiscal conservatism, balanced budget, managed growth, family first, moral issues, all being conservative as well. And I believe that Texas is a blessing to many of the other states because people have moved here to put their homes and find jobs, so on and so forth. And got some Californians waving at me right now because they moved here from California. But at the end of the day, we have to hold to our Texas roots, which is we have to be focused on our strong neighborhoods, our school systems, and our Texas roots and our Texas values. And we don't want to let that go and get swallowed up. So I am Texas. God bless Texas. God bless the USA.
Mr. Keating, last year, you were not on council at this point in time. The city council voted to change the city standards for parkland acquisition, which effectively reduced total parkland estimated by the city to be used by the city by 1,400 acres. Please comment on the rationale, as you understand, for council approving that change, and in the light of the current new density forecasts, do you agree with a reduction in parkland acquisition?
Where was this? Which mic do you have to like kiss? This one or both? Or ooh, there it goes. Boom.
Yes, the silver.
All right. Which study was this from, or which what was this? What was this parkland study voted on? What was this?
The details behind it is the city council voted to reduce the ratio of parkland from 15 acres per 1,000 people to 10 acres per 1,000 people, effectively reducing the anticipated 1,400 acres at the 280,000 population.
Okay. Well, I know our council strongly supports green space, and I think the average is about. I actually have it here in my notes. About 1.5 acres per 1,000 people. So I'm not sure what metric they're using, but I talked to John Letler, our planning and zoning commissioner, about this today, and he said that some of the green space will be made up for with the different developments as the CDC, EDC brings these different developments into the city, that we can take that parkland off the city. We still have the green space, but now it's simply paid for by these new developments that come into the city. One thing I should point out is the comp plan is not a master plan. There seems to be some huge misconception about this. You do one about every 5 years, and you use it to set your fee schedule, because if you don't charge your fees properly as you build out to your developers, then those fees are going to come back and land on us to build those roads and put that infrastructure in. So there's no zoning changes that come with a comp plan. In fact, that's illegal to change zoning with a comp plan.
Thank you. Mr. Vincent, working in the IT industry, you know the issues surrounding data privacy. The city has implemented an extensive data gathering program through cameras on police cars that record license plates, through social media monitoring, and recently through cameras on garbage trucks. What is your opinion on the city's data gathering policies?
Well, this is an issue that I kind of deal with directly, working for a financial in the information security department. As long as data is gathered in a way that there is no personally identifiable information, PII, then it can be metastasized and compiled so that people like Stanley can analyze it later on, without knowing that that's John's. That John was the one that filled up his garbage can too much. So as long as it's done in a way where again, it's identifiable information. Google Street View, for example, drives around and they block out the house numbers. They block out license plate numbers, things like that. There's no real invasion of privacy unless they're actually walking into your house.
Thank you, sir.
You stated you have your person is recruiter for IT industry, among others. And your campaign says that you want to bring more diversity to the tax base. How do you plan to do that without adding to the existing debt load?
So we were talking about, because I've had this discussion with many people. So last week we had a chamber event, and as an entrepreneur, when I'm talking about diversity, I'm talking about diversity in terms of, I also attended that working session, and they talked about recruiting Fortune 100 and Fortune 500 companies, which is awesome, right? But those companies recognize the state of Texas, and they recognize North Texas and Frisco specifically. They're coming. But entrepreneurs like me, when I go and I meet with Jim Gandy, when I talk about creating a veterans program and putting veterans to work and teaching them programming skills and increasing the number of people that are here, I get ignored. I don't get money. I don't get tax incentives. I don't have them encouraging me to build my business. This country was built on the backs of entrepreneurs, and most wealth was created by small businesses, not by Fortune 100 and 500 companies. So when I talk about diversity, I'm talking about that.
Mr. Thomas, you were recently named Volunteer of the Year in Frisco, so you have observed closely the plight of the city's least advantaged citizens. What do you see as the city's responsibility to provide any additional services to this population would your plans be funded?
Well, thank you. Great question. You know, one of the most exciting things about being around Frisco is our police and fire chief and other agency directors invite the citizens to come walk in their shoes and join along with them. So I've took advantage of that. And yes, I've seen folks, when we've done the homeless surveys, I've been involved with the disaster relief in following up with families that have been affected by things like tornadoes and house fires that happen each and every night. And I'm also the parent of a special needs child that has now become an adult. I don't think it's the city's responsibility to start looking and telling people that how can we create new places to live. The living part's taken care of. It's about bringing jobs and bringing opportunity to continue to expand upon what we taught these families and the people in school, but give them the opportunity to learn how to apply it in business. So for me, it's about bringing opportunity economically. We can use our EDC to touch a lot of these issues with the money that we already have from sales tax to make a real and true meaningful difference in the lives of those who have needs in our community and to support these families.
Thank you. Mr. Wang.
Yep.
You have stated that Frisco needs to do a better job of educating citizens about city finance. Given the city's relatively ineffective communications on something as straightforward as this election, how do you plan on educating the city's citizens on the complexity of finance?
Finance is a very broad and a complicated topic, and for most of the people in Frisco, they may not be able to get into that depth. But what we can do is we can bring the budget to be more transparent, and we can put the total debt, total revenue on it, and we can put, say, 5-year, year-over-year growth of the debt and revenue on it, and compare them, put on the same chart, so people can see which one is growing faster and how the city actually performed. And also, the city is missing is we don't disclose. The city's budget does not disclose the pension cost, and we know that Dallas City is in big trouble right now because of the pension problem. And people said that Dallas could go to bankruptcy if they cannot resolve the police pension problem. And another thing is we know that UT professors' salaries you can check online. Why can't we check the salaries and the compensation of the city managers and the management team? And we should put that into the first couple pages of the budget book too.
We have received 2 questions from the audience so far. The first question was not directed to anyone, so we will open it up for anybody who wants to respond. Question? Draw that last name. What do you believe should be the relationship to the ISDs that Frisco serves, and can you name them? What do you believe should be the relationship to the ISD Frisco serves, and can you name them?
What am I naming? The relationships.
Names of ISDs that Frisco serves, and what should the relationship be?
Well, we've got a great community because we've got the what I like to call the 4 legs of the table. You've got great neighborhoods, you've got great businesses, you've got I think a great city government, great city management, and you've got a great school district as well. I think one of the key things is communication. We've just recently seen this TRE vote come out, a 13-cent hike, and we've got a new administrator in Dr. Lyons. Dr. Reedy was our previous administrator, and for whatever anybody's ever faults or their accomplishments, he's built a great school district. But I don't believe that under Dr. Reedy's leadership we would have had this 13 cents. I think Dr. Reedy had been around long enough, and the relationship with the city and the community was long enough that there would have been some more communication about that, about what would have been an acceptable number. Would 3 cents have been acceptable? And could maybe we had still not opened the schools, and so then we're not selling bonds, and we could have kept the number down and maybe slowed our growth in our schools a little bit. We like that small school model. We all support it, but it has suddenly become very expensive with so much growth. So rather than just drop a 13-cent tax hike on us, why didn't we have more conversation on this and find out what the real number was? Thanks.
Anybody else want to respond?
I would.
Mr. Thomas?
If I understood the question correctly, it's which four groups does Frisco serve in school district? And I would answer that it's Plano, Louisville, Little Elm, and Frisco. And through that, it's each of these cities have their own personalities, but there's a common denominator, and that's we love our kids and we want high quality education. My biggest concern for Frisco is when we as a city undertake tasks and we build and spend money, we should not exclude those students. And it breaks my heart that the people in Heritage Lakes have to drive by the Star, but because their kids are in Louisville School District, they don't get to play there. But yet their tax dollars, their tax base, and the credit of this city made it possible. So it's including those groups as well to have an opportunity to share in what we've built.
Anybody else?
Yep. I want to. Sorry. I think the understanding is. My understanding of the question is the relationship to the school. What does? How can that serve the city? So my answer is: when the school is good, the city is good. When the school is bad, the city is bad. When school is good, and we can have high quality jobs and high quality business in this town. Plano has demonstrated that to us. And also, to take care of the school, because we love this small school model, to take care of the school, I think the city should slow down the population growth and shouldn't build out too many apartments and multifamily homes. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, next question. Again, this is not addressed to anybody specifically. Frisco Economic Development Board, the EDC, has given millions of taxpayer dollars to bring business to Frisco. Frisco has been one of the fastest growing cities in America for many years.